Hey guys, today we're going to be going through the Sacred 28 and who they are. This is 28 pureblood families that were determined sometime in the 1930s to be the purest families in the wizarding world at the time, and we're going to go through one at a time. First off is the Abbott family. Now you'll primarily recognize this name with Hannah Abbott, who we do know ends up with Neville Longbottom and the landlady of Leaky Cauldron. But before this, sometime during the Second Wizarding World, her mother is found dead in her home. She was killed by Death Eaters. Hannah then helped in the battle for Hogwarts. Also in the main book series, while Harry and Hermione are in Godric's Hollow walking through the graveyard, Harry does happen upon a grave with the last name Abbott on it. It's not unknown who this was. In Hogwarts, somewhere in the hallways, there's a portrait of a Gifford Abbott. And I read on Pottermore, there's an American wizard named Theophilus Abbott who's believed to be a descendant or a relative of the family. And he was a part of the creation of Muska and worked in Muska and wrote a book about it and all that stuff. Now Hannah Abbott herself is a half-blood. So sometime after the 1930s, after this, Sacred 18 was written, sometime after that, the family did mix over, so we only know that because Hannah is a half-blood herself. Second is the Avery family. Now, this name is only one that we hear by the surname alone, and it's only mentioned a few times in the books. We first hear it in the scene when Tom Riddle is trying to talk to Slughorn about Horcruxes, and it's mentioned that Avery is one of the last to leave the room before Tom starts talking to Slughorn. The second mention of this surname is in the Battle of Mysteries when Lucius is leading a bunch of Death Eaters to try and get Harry to get the prophecy for them and all that fun stuff. Avery is one of the Death Eaters mentioned during this battle. For the Black family tree, I did do a full video on this, person by person through the entire tree, everything I could find last Sunday. So go check out my page to watch that video. Fourth on our list is Bulstrode. We recognize this immediately as Millicent Bulstrode and Hermione's unfortunate incident with Polyjuice Potion. Now, we don't know a lot about the Bulstrode family. She is a half-blood, so we assume it's kind of the same as the Abbotts, where sometime after the 1930s they did mix over, so they're no longer true pure-blood family anymore. The only other Bulstrode that we know of is Violetta Bulstrode, who married Cygnus Black II, who I talk about on the Black Family Tree video. Fifth is the Burke family tree. Now, Borgin and Burkes. Caradicus Burke was the co-founder of Borgin and Burkes. We also see a memory of Caradicus Burke in the main series when Harry Potter's looking in the pensive and he sees Caradicus buying the Slytherin locket from Voldemort's mother. Elizabeth Burke is another Burke family member we know about, and she was a headmistress at Hogwarts, and her portrait is actually in the Slytherin dungeons down at the bottom of the school, and it's very well known to encourage Slytherins and many passerbys to be nasty to Muggleborns. In Hogwarts Mystery, Eradicus Burke is another Burke family member mentioned, and he was a healer at St. Mungo's. Herbert Burke is another known family member, but the only reason we really know about him is because he's mentioned on the Black family tree as marrying Belvina Black. Sixth is the Carrow. They very much enjoyed spending their free time using the Cruciatus Curse on students, and one time Neville got sassy with them, and they slashed his face wide open because he asked them how much pure blood they actually had, because Neville actually had pure blood. So he was like, oh, you walk a lot of talk. Are you actually a pure blood? Because, Voldemort talks a lot of talk, and he's not a pureblood. But anyway, there is another Carrow mentioned in Fantastic Beasts as working with Grindelwald. So they're just very down the line on that side of the road, Flora and Hestia Carrow were twins that were both Slytherin, obviously, and both in Slughorn's club in their time at Hogwarts. And now the Crouch family, and we know them all too well as Barty Crouch Sr. and Barty Crouch Jr., who had a wonderful father-son relationship after finding out your son is a Death Eater. When you are the head of magical law enforcement, you then have to send your son to Azkaban, have your wife faint and be furious at you. Then your wife absolutely just disappears and goes to get your son out of prison. Then you get rid of your house elf because you're pissed. and then your son kills you, and then your son gets the Dementor's kiss, and that's the end of your line. There's also a Casper Crouch that we know of simply because their name is on the Black family tree as marrying Charis Black. Number 8 is the Fawley family. We know basically next to nothing about them. The only known Fawley is Hector Fawley, who was Minister of Magic sometime in like the 1920s, 1930s area. The Flint family is another name that I hope you guys recognize as Marcus Flint on the Slytherin Quidditch team, who is a nice burly, trollish looking fella, according to Harry and Ron. Yeah, he was an interesting character. I wish we got more of him. I wish I could have known more about him. I don't know why, I just do. Another Flint family member is Josephina Flint, who was another Minister of Magic sometime in the 1800s. Once again, the Black family tree does tie in one more person for us. We do know an Ursula Flint, who married Phineas Nigellus Black. Now, for the Gaunt family, I think I'm gonna have to do like a totally separate video because there is far too much and it is way too interesting, and I do not want to rush any of this, but I'm just gonna hit like the major plot points for you guys for now. First off, my ominous from Hogwarts Legacy. When I say my video game boyfriend, it's ominous. I love him so much, like just so much. Like, yeah, Sebastian's cool, Sebastian's awesome, Sebastian's wonderful. I love my Sebastian, but ominous. I love him. Okay, his story makes me cry. Let's talk about that. Obviously, growing up in the Gaunt family, they are direct descendants of Salazar Slytherin himself. Very, very proud of this. They also very much known to inbreed because they wanted to keep Parseltongue in the family. So they encouraged it. They very much encouraged it. So for a fun little family activity, the Gaunts, Ominous, his siblings, his parents, they would just go use the Cruciatus Curse on some muggles just for some shits and giggles. And when Ominous was like, no, I'm not gonna do that, his siblings and parents used it on him, causing him to go blind. He then renounced his entire family. Ominous did have another relative that we meet in Hogwarts Legacy, but we don't really meet her. We just kind of see her skeleton on the ground. Noctua Gaunt is somebody that tried to get into Salazar Slytherin's scriptorium in her time at Hogwarts, and in the final door you have to use the Cruciatus Curse. She went by herself and she had nobody to use it on, so she couldn't open the door and she was trapped in there and died and decayed, and that was that. Something else very important to note about the Gaunt family is that they entrusted through generation after generation, they trusted their family to protect the Chamber of Secrets. So all of them knew where it was, knew how to find it, and did everything they could to protect it. Why none of them tried to open it, I don't know. I don't know what they were waiting on. I don't know if it was a time or why Tom Riddle was the one to do it. I don't know. Maybe it just plays into the whole prophecy. So there was a Corvinus Gaunt, and during his time at Hogwarts, they were doing some like updating on the plumbing and everything, and he was like, oh shit, like that's the bathroom, like that's where we go, like that's the pipes, that's the tunnel, I gotta protect the Chamber of Secrets. And he's the one that basically like tucked it away behind those sinks and kind of came up with that idea. Very interestingly, there was a Gormith Gaunt who, to preserve her family's pure bloodline, Avada Kedavra and a bunch of her family members kidnapped her niece, locked her away for like 12 years, and then, yeah, just did like a bunch of crazy things. We're gonna have to, that needs to be in the other video. That's the crazy stuff. But then she went over and she helped founded the American School, Ilvermorny, or however you pronounce it. Yeah, that super cool story. Anyway, moving on to Voldemort's line in the Gaunts. Marvolo Gaunt was the father of Merlot Gaunt, who was the mother of Voldemort. Now, there's this whole fun situation that goes on there. And again, that's gonna have to be in the other video because it's very interesting and I don't wanna like have to skimp on any details. 11th on our list is the Greengrass family, and we really only know them as Daphne Greengrass, who is mentioned as being in the same year as Draco. She's a Slytherin, she's friends with him and Pansy and all of them, and as the trio as well, obviously. Now, Daphne's younger sister Astoria is actually the one that ends up marrying Draco in the end, and they have Scorpius together, and sad things happen. Anytime somebody says Lestrange, we all immediately think Bellatrix, whose maiden name is Black, so we're not even going to talk about her here. We talked about her in the Black family video. Bellatrix did get the Lestrange name through her husband Rodolphus, and he had a brother Rebastion, who those three, along with Barty Crouch Jr., all tortured Frank and Alice Longbottom together for a fun little group activity. They also had an ancestor whose name was Radolphus. I can't even imagine what like a family reunion would have been like with names like this, but Radolphus was a minister for magic at one point, and he tried to like totally X out the Department of Mysteries, and the Unspeakables were like, no, just no, we're not gonna listen to you now. And then there's Leta Lestrange, who we just never got enough of. I loved her. I thought I felt for her. I loved her. Her story, that scene of her running away from Hogwarts always makes me cry. Like, it's so sad that she's friends with Newt. Like, her and Newt should have ended up together, but like, his brother's also really cute, so like, I don't blame her, but like, still. Anyway, her story makes me cry, and it breaks my heart that we did not get more time with her, because it really showed a Lestrange that didn't follow these family ideals, that very much was suffering from the reputation that her family had. I do think in the end she decided that she was more than her name, and that was why she made that sacrifice, was because she thought of herself as being stuck in that reputation forever, and that's really sad. And then there's the lovely Corvus Lestrange IV, who imperioed a woman to have Leta and then was pissed that it wasn't a son, so then he got with his cousin and got Corvus V, who then didn't even survive in the end. So, crazy man. 13th is the Longbottom family. This is a family that is very well off, still a very strong pureblood family, and they never took the ways of Voldemort, any of the Death Eaters, and they would openly renounce it. However, they were never seen as blood traitors like the Weasleys. This is mainly concluded because in the Black family tree, a Calidora Black marries Harfang Longbottom, and their name is never marked off of the tree. To me, this is just a family of heroes for what Frank and Alice did during the First War to Augusta Longbottom, taking care of Neville all those years, even, you know, she was maybe a little hard on him at times. But Neville himself, just, they couldn't be more proud, and even just in their sweet moments, this family means the world to me, and I love them so, so, so deeply. 14 is the Macmillan family, and again, we don't really know a lot about them. There is an Ernest Macmillan who is a Hufflepuff and is very open that the family does not support the Death Eaters and is in favor of Dumbledore and Harry. Melania Macmillan marries Arcturus Black III, so their names never marked out, they're in good standing. Malfoy family history is wildly fascinating to me because they really did spend a lot of time before the whole separation of like wizards and muggles. They spent a lot of time in royalty in the muggle world. One of the earliest known Malfoy family members is Armand Malfoy, who was a very close consultant of King William I, and he came to Britain with King William I with the invading Normandy army, and for everything that he did for King William I, he gave him the land that then became Malfoy Manor, that then housed the family for like 10 centuries or something like that after. The family was very connected, very uppity, but never in like the place of power, really just always being the one whispering in the ear, you know? Over the years, the family dynasty collected a lot of dark artifacts, and Abraxas and Lucius were very proud of these. Number 16 is the Nott family, N-O-T-T. Cantankerous Nott is one of the earliest known members of this family, and he's actually theorized to be the one who wrote the Sacred 28 himself. Only other known members of this family is Theodore Nott, or Theo, who does get arrested, I think, after he leaves Hogwarts for having an illegal time turner, and his father is seen in the graveyard when Voldemort returns in Goblet of Fire, so he's a known Death Eater. The Ollivander family is probably one of the oldest wizarding families possibly known. They've been making wands since 382 BC. So there was the original Ollivander, and we don't even really know his first name. It's just the original Ollivander to distinguish him from the rest of the family. But he was a Roman wizard who was a known wand maker. At some point, the family did travel from Rome to Britain, and there was a great Ollivander, if I'm saying that right, I'm sorry, a great Ollivander who was one of the first wizarding shops in Britain. However, there is some question as to why they are included on this list, because Garrick Ollivander's mother is a Muggle-born. Maybe, you know, the Nott, Karaticus Nott just didn't know this, he didn't think about it, it slipped his mind, he, you know, was just honoring the family anyway, or maybe it was just that there was this one instance. Some of these families do have a little bit of crossover people that have been disowned, but if there's not, it seems as though if there's a certain number of Muggle-borns within the family, then you're left off. Because there's plenty of well-known pureblood families that are completely left off of this list. Crabbe, Goyle, Princes, the Potters, like there's so many. I think I counted like 9 earlier. I can't think of them right now. I have a list. Anyway, back on track with the Parkinsons. Now we really only know Pansy Parkinson as the nasty little Slytherin girl who has a crush on Draco, and they kind of have like a little situationship, but Draco never really returns her feelings, I don't think. And then the only other Parkinson we know is Perseus Parkinson, who was a minister of magic sometime in like the 1700s. Next is the Prewett family, and this is very commonly known as Molly Weasley's maiden name. She did have 2 brothers, Gideon and Fabian Prewett, who were very tragically killed during the First Wizarding War. It was a Dolohov that was convicted of being the one to Avada Kedavra them, but he claimed that it actually took 5 Death Eaters to take these 2 guys down. And it was also noted, or, you know, commonly thought that most of the Prewetts had red hair and big noses, and I love that. We also learn about a Leander Prewett in Hogwarts Legacy. Number 20 is the Rosier family, and one of the first ancestors we know is actually seen in Fantastic Beasts. So you know that pretty girl that's always with Grindelwald and has like a mean stone face and has dark hair, but she's like really pretty? Yeah, she's a Rosier. And then the only other one that we know is Evan Rosier, who is mentioned as already being dead, having been killed by Professor Moody himself during Igor Karkaroff's trial. Number 21 is the Rowle family. We only know 2 members of this family. We have Thorfinn Rowle, who was a known Death Eater, and then Democritus Rowle, who was a minister of magic in like the 1700s. 22 is Selwyn family, and this is a name that we hear of a Death Eater that helps in the kidnapping of Luna Lovegood. We also hear this name in the main book series when Umbridge kind of claims that she's somehow related to the family, but it's never proven. And then if you play Hogwarts Legacy, there's a Sylvanus Selwyn, and they are a Lieutenant Ashwinder, and I just want to go play Hogwarts Legacy now and kick some Ashwinder butt. I'll be doing that tonight. Next is the Shacklebolt family, and the only thing we really know about them is Kingsley Shacklebolt, who is pretty freaking cool. He is an Auror, and a really amazing Auror at that. He has the best line of, "You may not like him, but Dumbledore's got style." During the Second Wizarding War, Kingsley is tasked with protecting the Muggle Prime Minister, but he goes, "Harry's more important. I'm gonna go to the Battle of Seven Potters." Then he is acting minister for a little bit, and then he actually becomes minister, so Kingsley's pretty cool. Next is the Shafiq family. I've got nothing. Like, nothing other than the fact that their name is simply on the list. Number 27 is the Slughorn family. As interesting as Horace is, the family history is not. We have Horace Slughorn and then his father, who was like a very high-ranking official in the Department of Magical Cooperation. And that's really all we know. Slughorn was a Slytherin. He was known to collect very intelligent and talented students. Help Tom Riddle figure out Horcruxes, and Potions Master, and that's Slughorn. The Travers family is next, and we do have a couple people to talk about here, finally. In Lily's final letter to Sirius, she does mention being really upset over the death of her friends, the McKinnons, and it's actually a Travers that is the one to Avada Kedavra them. And then in like the early 1990s, there's a Thorquin Travers who is the head of the magical law enforcement department in the Ministry of Magic. And then for Hogwarts Legacy, a Thaddeus Travers is a shop owner in Hogsmeade. And then Isla Travers is an Ashwinder. Okay, we're now on 27 with the Weasleys, but I really can't remember what I've said, and I don't know if I've like accidentally misnumbered some of those verbally. So now when the Weasleys saw their name on this list, they were really unhappy. This was not something they wanted to be included in, a part of, associated with, anything at all to do with. They openly renounced it and kept claiming that they had muggles in the family and that they shouldn't even be on the list to begin with. So when Cedrella Black married Septimus Weasley, their name got marked off the tapestry because the Weasleys were then deemed blood traitors. They didn't just get taken off the list, they got marked blood traitors. Finally, number 28 is the Yaxleys. Now, we mainly know Corbin Yaxley as the one that we see as Death Eater and grabs onto Hermione and sees 12 Grimmauld Place and the whole everything basically goes to shit. And we also see, I recently saw the deleted scenes, and that's kind of one of the things that made me blow up on TikTok was I saw a deleted scene for the first time when I had food poisoning. I was like actually hallucinating, but that's besides the point. We're not talking about that today. But the deleted scene where Yaxley goes into Hermione's empty house, yeah, I just saw that like this year for the first time. Mind blown. I'd never seen that before, but that was like a really good deleted scene added. Or maybe not even deleted scene, extended scene, whatever you call it. And then from the Black family tree, there is a Lysandra Yaxley who marries Arcturus Black II, and their name is not marked out, thus proving that they are a good standing family. Now, many times throughout this video, I have basically used the Black family tree as a measurement of if a family is in good standing or not. Doria Black and Charles Potter, their name is not marked out on that tapestry. So the Potter family is in good standing, but they're not mentioned on this list. Potter is actually a very common surname for a lot of Muggle families. So they just weren't confident that there wasn't a whole lot of Muggle blood somewhere mixed in. And it's not the only family that's left out. It is Crabbe, Goyle, Moody, Prince, Brown, Tripe, Bullshwick, Max, and Gamp. Most of these are from the Black family tree, and we don't see their name marked out. As again, I'm saying that is really the measurement that a lot of people use on who is in good standing and who's not, because it's really one of the only families that kept a record like that. Now, through all of this history, there are now 4 names on this list that are completely extinct. There's the Gaunts, the Blacks, the Lestranges, and the Crouches. And if anybody was keeping count, there are 12 other families in this list that are related and married into the Black family tree. So now, while most pureblood families did have some level of Salazar Slytherin blood directly connecting them to Slytherin, now most purebloods were sorted into Slytherin, there were some common exceptions. The only Ravenclaw known is the Ollivander line. Longbottoms, Prewetts, and Weasleys were very commonly Gryffindor, and Abbotts, Fawleys, and Macmillans were very commonly Hufflepuff. All right, that's everything I have for you guys today. I hope you're enjoying these little mini episodes on Wednesday. Hopefully I'll be able to keep doing them. I have been able to put a lot more time and energy into content creation on my TikTok and YouTube, and I've been so grateful and thankful and happy to do it, and this has just been the most fun, and you guys have no idea that this was literally on my vision board for this year, and like shit's really coming true, and it's insane. I really, seriously though, thank you guys. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. My brain's so tired. Thank you for the love. Thank you for the support. And thanks for always being there for me. I really appreciate you guys. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on Sunday, and I'll be on TikTok all week. Have a great night.